This is just a quick editor's note from Aidan, one of the members of QCP. Um, I just wanted to quickly mention that episode is a little different. We recorded it through Discord, and I had been having some weird issues on my end with like sound quality and levels and whatnot. So, at a couple minutes in, everyone's voice starts to go a little robotic, metallic-y, other than mine because it's direct recording from my computer. But they're still clear, and you can still understand what they're saying. But I just ask you to bear with it. And when I was editing, I kind of, disregarded that fact and got used to it, and I didn't really notice. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Please enjoy.
What up, man? Peace. Once again, coming to you live and just outside of the North Carolina Charlotte campus. We welcome you back to the dopest podcast ever to be spawned from the Queen City herself. Recording live from Discord, we have
E-Man,
Aidan,
J-May,
and also the Lord with the Sword, Sir John Legion. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first ever milestone, our 10th episode of the QCP podcast. We are the Queen City Psychos, and we welcome you to our 10th episode. How's it feel to make it to 10 episodes, fellas?
it feels like we've done
feels
more.
great.
It actually does feel like we've done more. I actually, well, you know what? I was actually surprised that it was 10 because I was thinking it was like 10 or 11. Did we count?
Yeah, this is our 10th one.
13. But no, I thought that when we did the 1917 review, when I was counting them up, I thought that made it like 11 or 12.
It's 10 episodes.
yeah.
Yes, it is. And with that being said, we'd like to thank those of you that joined us. We'd like to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel so far. And even if you haven't subscribed, those that have checked out any of our videos, whether it be the movie reviews or just the discussions that we've had, we're definitely grateful for everybody. We're definitely grateful for everybody that took the time to check us out. And we definitely have plans on, providing more content for the future, and just expanding the channel in more than one way. So
Yeah. Aidan was talking about a whole overhaul over here of like content to make. I was like, all right, we're gonna have to be serious about this. But I like the direction, so I'm excited to see where this is go.
Yeah, we got some things whipping up in the brain sets of the boys. Our mental synapses are doing their jobs.
Yeah, and that's a great word, Aiden.
now the one thing that I've been meaning to stress to people that we've talked to is coming up with different categories of content, because obviously we do plan to keep doing these weekly podcast episodes. All right, so for today's episode, for those of you who checked out episode 7, where we interviewed a fellow student, Joel Vincent, and that was for the I believe the title for that was writing process and influences, correct?
Here, let me look at it real quick. But yeah, writing processes and influences featuring Joel Vincent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So this next episode, I don't want to say it's not exactly like that, but it does fall within that realm of creation. But the topic for today will be from the perspective of an actor, the performer. So our question is, and the reason why we chose this topic, we all came to an agreement on this topic, is that all four of us, all four of the QCP, all four members of the QCP have at some point in their lives been a part of a production as a performer. We all have theater backgrounds on this channel. I'd say, does everybody know exactly how many shows they've been part of? Because I know how many I've been part of, but
if I could count,
I've
probably
been part of like 3 total.
Okay, are we talking about all of them? Are we talking about being part of as in performing in, or literally being associated with in any shape or fashion?
Performing.
You're
on stage.
I would say probably like
I've been in about
8,
3.
maybe 7 or 8. If I count my high school productions, which I guess I would count because they were
5.
seriously.
I would say
Okay,
5.
5 or 8.
You said
Three
5.
for Jesse. How many for you, man?
No,
I said
7. I've been in
I
7.
said
Oh, seven.
7. I said 7 or 8. I'm
I've
not
been in
exactly
7.
sure, but that sounds about right to me.
Yeah,
Because
I've
I
been in
count.
3.
I count. There was 3 of them that were all just regular single plays, and then I had like 1 year of high school. I think I had like 3 plays that were all. I'm sorry, 3 different plays in one whole thing. So I guess I
Okay.
count that as individuals. Would you count that as individuals?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so.
Okay, so count those. That's I'm at like 6 right now. I count.
Hmm.
I've done one play 3 times, so I count that as just one performance of that play. Um, I've done it 3 times in different roles, but it's been the same play, so that's about
Oh,
7 or 8.
okay.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Okay. And to my knowledge, I have done 8 so far.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
First show I believe I did was 21 down. But anyway, so as actors, I think it's fair to say that not every actor has the exact same process as far as once you are cast in a stage production or film production, because I don't necessarily want to limit this to stage. I asked the guys beforehand if anybody had done any work on film, or
Mm-hmm.
voiceover or anything like that, just
You
checking
asked
to make
us?
sure. But
Yeah.
yes.
I don't remember this because I've done multiple short films
Oh, really?
and skits. Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I did
Yeah.
ask.
I don't remember it.
Okay.
Well, I've
Well,
only done like stage plays, and that's it. I've never really done like a short film or anything. But yeah.
yeah.
I've done like
Stage for me, other than the one show I did that had some where we filmed a couple of scenes on a film set and then present them to the audience when we actually did the show. But I'll get into that a little bit more once we get into the discussion. But yeah, as far as this film work, that's really it for me.
yeah. I think
Wow. Okay.
I haven't. I don't have any film experience. Well, I might. I honestly, it's kind of a blur.
Right.
I don't
Okay.
really remember exactly, but I probably have maybe.
Mhm. But the question is, when cast in a stage production, how do you, as an actor, build a character's background? What is the process that you, as a performer, use during the rehearsal process, and what techniques do you like to use in order to develop all the elements, all the traits that go into creating your character, whether it be an original piece or a non-original piece. I am curious to hear from the other three guys, how these guys go about that and how these guys cultivate. And also, you're going to hear from me as well. We're all going to hear from each other about how you guys cultivate your characters. Who wants to go
Mm-hmm.
first?
I can go first. It's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Um. Well, for me, like if I do a stage performance and I figure out, or whether it's uh, a true story or not, I always figure out, okay, what is the background and how could I do or basically how could I basically research a little bit more about this? Like, how could I possibly live it out? Like some actors, or a lot of actors, basically, they have to put themselves in this space where they basically kind of have to isolate themselves from, other distractions so they can basically get a feel of what that character is living or things like that. So that's basically what I do because I don't want to pretend. I want to actually be in the moment. I actually want to, if I'm angry, I actually want to be angry in the moment. I want to actually, you get what I'm saying? Like, I want to feel exactly what that character feels. So I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit of, I hate using the word my truth, but just like, my truth. Like, I want it to be real. Like, I want it to be authentic. And I think that's what goes into that. Like, you actually have to put yourself in a space where you can um, basically investigate the character a little bit,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
like you want to figure out who your character is and why they do what they do. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying? Okay.
yeah. What I'm saying is, like, for example, I mean, I know this is like, for example, and I know this is a film, but I think it was Denzel, but he did the movie. It might have been Malcolm X. But what
Yeah.
he did was he took 6 months. He went Muslim. Was it Malcolm? Was Malcolm X? I could be wrong. Was he a Muslim?
Let's say Muslim
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So what Denzel did was for 6 months he went Muslim. He did all the practices, all the lifestyle that um, Malcolm X did. That's what Denzel did for an entire 6 months. So
Mm-hmm.
because that is the correct way to actually be the character, and that's exactly what should go in a stage performance or film, whatever. That's the approach I took, and it always turned out well. So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. I like that.
Now it can take a toll on you. It
Mhm.
can. You have to. That's one thing you have to train yourself to do because I mean you could go through after it's over. You could go through depression. It could still stay in your body. So I mean you kind of have to have an outlet too to
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, you
get rid
definitely
of
have
that
to
stuff.
wind down.
Yeah.
Um, I can say for me when I go into my like process getting a character, backstory doesn't really like it's important to me, but like it isn't what my character is. It's not what my character is doing for the play. You know, the backstory is what my character did before the story even started. What I care about from my character when I go into whoever role I am, I'm going for their purpose. What's their reason they're in this play? What's their mission, their goal, and how are they going to accomplish this goal in this play? Or in this performance. I can say for sure that a lot of my roles, um, it you can tell there's clearly a purpose for that character, and that's exactly what I'm looking for right off the bat. Reading my script, that's exactly what I'm looking for off the bat. Uh, Running lines, everything like that. Just looking for what's my reason for saying these lines. What's my reason for doing what I do in this play? What's the objective? Um, because backstory is an important thing to know, like who your character is and why they have gotten to this point. But I want to know like what what are the steps to get to that point that you're going for, you know? So I
Yeah.
think in my way of thinking when I go into my process for a character, I'm looking for their purpose and why they're even there to begin with. Um, yeah,
So you're looking
Yeah.
for. So you're like me. You're looking for the who, what, why, right?
yeah. I'm looking for okay. So the character's purpose is to rob a bank. You want to see the steps onto reason, or you want to see the steps they're going to take to get to robbing that bank, or the steps they're taking to get to the point that they needed to get to the point that they even needed to get a crew together to get to rob the bank. Like, what's their steps to get to that point? Why are we getting to those? Not why are we getting to that steps, but what's the way that they're getting to those steps, and how are they doing it? You know?
Yeah, and finding out the who, what, where, and why, that could actually help with connecting to the audience as well. So,
Yeah, because the audience is only going to know what you give them, and
yeah,
like you could people people say like it's important to make sure that you show every like basically what you're doing on stage. If you're showing someone like eating food, make it look 10 times more exaggerated than you actually eat food, so that the audience knows exactly what you're doing. And because when you're doing something exaggerated on stage, it looks normal to the audience. I think that's what they say. I guess what I've heard from
yeah,
like that perspective, like exaggerated to the point that when the audience see it, it looks normal to them. So like that's what I think about like the objective that whatever you're doing for your character, whatever you're doing for that character, take it to the 10th power so the audience knows, oh, this is something really important. This is something I really need to be paying attention to because this is what the character's whole storyline is supposed to be. Um, the
yeah,
whole the whole reason for the character even being in this performance because they have a motive and a goal I can see clearly from my seat all the way in the back of the theater because they're making it so exaggerated and so big and known, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
yeah,
I definitely think that it is important to know what your motive is
To be honest, I don't really do character prep. I just kind of do whatever feels right in the moment. Like, I don't ever really look into the characters. I don't ever take time to like study their lifestyles or anything like that. You
Kind of
good,
just jumping
E-man?
in.
Somebody dying?
No, that was my little brother again. He was
Oh.
screaming.
Oh, no, it sounded like someone was mopping the floor with a squealing dog. But
Yes, that was him screaming. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no. To be honest, like I don't ever really do character prep. I just kind of do. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of like read the scene, or if it's like a play, I'll read the play, or if it's like the short films I've been in, we've made it, so I pretty much made the character, so I don't really have to do it. But like in terms of stages, it kind of depends. Like for example, I was Otto Frank, Anne Frank's father in a play, and
Oh.
I pretty much was just kind of like I acted very stressed, but also like collectedly fatherly. You know what I mean? I was kind of like he's obviously distressed about things, but he's just kind of like holding on, or
He's
like
holding on for his family, you know?
yeah, or like I had to do we did this thing called the Clumsy Custard Horror Show where I was a three-horned giraffe with a red pig nose, and I pretty much waddled around and spoke like Kermit the Frog who'd been smoking too much. And I was just like, how can I just
Okay.
be as eccentric and silly as possible? So I did that, and like I didn't really have any character. I just kind of basically played off of the opposite emotion of the lead, my boy Wesley at NYU. Shout out to him. My boy's at NYU right now. He's doing his stuff. But
Damn.
So that was like a comedy.
yeah, the whole thing
I
was
hope
pretty much
so.
it was pretty much a massive dad joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So like, but you don't really have to prep like that. Yeah.
yeah, like that one I didn't have to. I'm trying to think of some other
Yeah.
examples. Like Proof, the one we're doing in acting class right now. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
had
okay.
me and Morgan have literally not talked about for the audience, Morgan is the name of my scene partner. We have not talked about our characterizations of anything at all. We just kind of read, and if it feels right in the moment, like that's what I do. So pretty much I just kind of base it off of like how I've kind of seen the character react in other parts of the play, or like kind of how I kind of view him. You know what I
hmm
mean?
hmm
Yeah.
So
It definitely works when you have like if you're someone that can just on the spot read some script and just be like, all right, I can do the performance. It's not like I need to have a whole backstory for a character.
yeah, yeah,
You just read what it says and you're like, all right, let me just make sure that whatever the character's supposed to be doing in the scene looks like what they're supposed to be doing in the scene.
yeah,
Um, I don't think everyone needs to have a process where they just have to have this long drawn out moment with their script, looking at every single bit and piece.
yeah,
But
Well, and I want to make it clear too. Like when I was talking about investigating the character, I was mainly talking about like if it was like a true story or something like that. But
yeah,
yeah.
I
No, we
mean,
know what you mean.
I do it for
yeah.
I mean, it's always important to do it even for characters that aren't like historically real, you know? Because
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, there's some stories like I believe the people that did the Aidan, remember when we go see the play that goes wrong. I'm like probably ninety
That was
percent.
amazing.
I am 90% sure that
I
all
wish
those
I was there to
actors
see
in
it with you
there,
guys.
probably did a deep dive search onto their character as to why they're doing what they're doing in the scene or whatever.
Well, yeah, but
Like
that was so
because
hectic. They kind of had to.
there's a lot of moving parts and stuff like that. Like it depends also on the deepness, I guess you could say, of the play. That also
Hmm.
comes to account. Like if you know that the play isn't something that is like too deep or too like realism, I guess you could say. I don't really want to say realism, but like you know
Yeah,
what I mean, like
yeah,
too deep that you have to learn more about the character. Then you don't really have to go into like this deep dive search because it's plainly simple and completely understood that whatever you're doing in the scene is what's happening on the play, and it's not really going to be hard to like seen as like something you need to have like a deep understanding for or anything like that.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think that's
I
also
feel like
something.
sometimes you kind of have to. Like if, Aiden, if they ask you to do like what was it, Shaggy off of Scooby Doo?
Would
I
you do a
like
deep dive
Scoob.
search for?
Let's get out of here.
Would you do a deep dive
Oh my God.
Okay, that
search
was
for?
almost too good.
Okay, you already got it on like Naughty Text. Okay.
He's already doing an audition right here.
Yeah.
Please,
No,
I
please.
actually
I would
do
just play
have
Mortal
one.
Kombat mods.
Yo, tell me why he really could play Shaggy though. He's got the long hair. If he could play like Shaggy, if he got like in his younger days, maybe
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when
that'd be
Scoob was
funny.
a pup.
Yeah, when Scoob was a pup, you could play him. There you go.
But yeah, that's what I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Tyler, you got anything?
Okay, so for me, I take a lot of I take a lot of solace from the fact that I ended up taking drama one in high school. That was huge for me because my drama one teacher in high school basically basically if you take drama in high school, first of all, you're also going to be taught the who, what, why when it comes to character prep, like Aang was talking about. And
Not if you went to my high school. You didn't learn a single thing about theater.
well, okay, you're supposed to. Let me
Yeah.
let me rephrase that. All right, that should be in there at some point. You guys should you're supposed to go over that. And yeah. So basically, drama one was sort of my crash course for acting. I mean, essentially, it was acting one for me anyway. Because after that, so when I got out of and that was my senior year too. But when I took drama one, I was in my first show about a year or two later, and so that was really all. So that was really all of the I'll say training that I had as far as performing. You know,
Hmm.
before I did my first show, but as I started doing more and more theater, I started learning more and more techniques, really from the performers around me, and I've sort of crafted. I won't say I've crafted my own process uh, for character prep or anything like that. But because it does, in a way, it does sort of vary from
Hmm.
character to character.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys know, look, if you're like me, if you've had the opportunity to play, a plethora of different characters, like for example, my the way I the way I try to build a character like, let's see, um, Daniel Caffey from A Few Good Men,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that process. It's not the exact same as say uh, a character. That character is obviously not the same as say Judd Fry from Oklahoma. It's just there's two different. I have to approach those characters two completely different ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, so I can't really say that I have a particular process, but I will say this: depending on what the character's motive is,
Mm.
uh, and depending on obviously, I mean, I think E-Man pretty much hit the nail on the head. You have to find what this character wants and how they plan to go about getting it, and sometimes that varies from scene to scene, but overall,
I
there
mean,
is you're
you have
hoping.
a clear motive.
Yeah, clear motive. Yeah, and then an arc that's the word you're looking for. Yeah,
Mm.
you want to know what the arc is, and a lot of times that can depend on how long the character, whether or not the character is a main principal or if he's just a side character, or like how much time you actually spend in the play. Definitely affects that. I've actually been lucky enough to be the lead in a couple of shows, so I've had that experience of having to like really I've had the responsibility of having to really like go 100% full focus into being able to flesh out my character from basically from the head down. So I think so at this point, obviously being able to interpret the script is that's I'd say first and foremost, that's like number one. First
Hmm.
thing you got to do. Yeah, first thing you got to do is, especially if you're the lead, you need to be as familiar with the script or you
As
as
a director.
possible because yeah, right, as a director, yeah, absolutely.
Like legitimately,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
that
the
helps.
lead of that play, and you're the one that has the big, like everything, like you're basically the I don't want to say like the puzzle piece that helps make the puzzle fit together, right? Like
Mhm. Well,
you
I
need
mean, all
to,
the leads though, because sometimes you're more than one. Like you may have a
yeah.
a co-lead or whatever. Yeah, the leads, without a doubt, they need to be.
They need to be the strongest one with the play, besides the director or stage manager or whoever
Absolutely.
in the producing section of this. They need to know the play like the back of their hand. Now, I don't think they
Right.
need to know like lines. They need to know like at least know
No,
everybody
no, no,
else
no. You need to know.
or
No,
enough.
yes,
They
yes,
know
yes.
are
You
coming
need
in
to know the
contact with
lines.
this
Especially in
play.
theater, yeah, you need to know your lines.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a question, Tyler. What was your approach with 24/7 when you had my script?
Well, actually, okay. Well,
He ain't do no deep
because
dive.
I had DJ kind of, huh?
I said he ain't do no deep dive, obviously.
Well, no, I didn't. Well, here's the thing. I didn't really have to, and the reason, I mean, that's a good question, but there are two reasons why I didn't. Number one, I probably would have had to do more work than I wanted to, but the fact if I didn't have a director for that scene,
Mm-hmm.
like if it had just been me and Rena, and you just handed us a script, and it was like, okay, we're just gonna read our lines, and we're just gonna try and flesh out, get into the mindset of these characters, and craft who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have had to take that route, but because DJ had already read the script, who was our director, he kind of started, he was kind of like tossing us ideas about, who these guys are, and obviously finding out what their motive is was important. But yeah, DJ kind of helped us in that regard. But like I said, it's like I'm saying, we were collaborating as an actor. I was collaborating with the director, trying
Mm-hmm.
to find out because obviously you weren't there, so we got to figure out who my character is and who Raina's character is, with the help of DJ. That's how we came to that's how we figured out, who we were as
Mm-hmm.
those characters.
He already had
So
something preset for you guys, basically.
he
Like,
did, yeah. He was tossing us ideas, and so we're thinking, and he's asking us, what do you think about this, or who is, all right, what's this character's job, or been
yeah,
together, stuff like that. That really helped us out in the long run, and that's of huge importance
yeah. I definitely think
as an
a
actor.
strong like the director knows the story very well and is like really helpful in like hands-on learning with like a lead character and helping them build that character because I
Hmm.
mean like supporting characters, I mean you can have the director help them, but a supporting character isn't someone that needs like the most attention compared to like the main character in the story,
Yeah.
the role. So like I think definitely a director that definitely is someone that can help you build that character and help you flesh out some ideas and stuff like that is also really really helpful for the process. Um, because it can help you build like maybe you don't know what the overarching story is with the motive and everything. And he can tell you or she can tell you, um, or maybe
Now,
they know like. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, speaking for myself, I don't think I've done a show up to this point where I was cast. I got my script. I read through the script, and whatever character whatever role I was cast in, I don't think I've ever done a show where I didn't have questions. I didn't have at least one where I didn't have at least one question. I know not just one question, but I know I had. If I finished reading the script, I know I had questions about who my character was, and I've gone to the director, asking, okay, so like, what's his intention in this scene, or what exactly is the purpose of this character? Like I've had to do that for every single show, every single role that I've ever been a part in.
Correction,
So
I
I've been in 8 shows. Sorry, I just remembered another one. I've been in 8.
I have actually I don't know why that happened, but I have actually I've done a few shows where I've never had to actually ask for the character because I think the character was already obvious to me, I
pretty
guess.
straightforward.
Yeah, like it was pretty obvious what the characters' motives were or what their overarching story was.
Okay.
Um, I never had that. Like there's some that I've had to been like, hey, but it's also been like, is it different if I ask them while we're in rehearsal about it or ask them beforehand? Because I normally, if I do want to know something about my character, I normally ask in the rehearsal process. Um,
I hope so. I
I
mean,
mean,
what
no,
else are you gonna ask other than over the
I'm saying
phone?
like I'm saying like in the middle of like rehearsal, like when over a certain scene, not like beforehand before we start going to rehearsals, but like I'm doing a scene and I'll ask and be like, hey, so like, is this what my character's supposed to be doing? Like to make sure, or they'll tell me like this is what your character's supposed to be doing, and I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense, that kind of thing. Um, I don't really. I mean, I read a script. I mean, if I read a script beforehand, I'm reading for my lines mostly and seeing where I come in mostly before I even get to
Right.
the first
Yeah.
rehearsal. I'm not even. I don't think I even look at anyone else's lines to be honest.
Yeah, I really don't either. I'm the same way. I just focus.
Um.
I mean, when I read I know you're supposed to read the entire thing. You know,
Mm,
you're supposed to read the entire story and that. I mean, everybody else's lines, but I really just stick to reading my lines and or if the role that I've been casted in, if my character is having if there's a scene where my character is having a conversation, yeah, I may read the lines of the other character uh, that my character is talking to, right? If
mm,
they're having a conversation, but other than that, I just focus on my line.
I think I learn the other characters through the rehearsals. That's how I learned the other people's characters. I first rehearsal, I'm probably like already stuck on my character and what they're doing. This is
I
crazy,
know you
dude.
hear
Come
that,
on.
Aiden.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know y'all hear it. Yes, I just told him to shush because he's so loud. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's cool. Don't worry.
he's
No,
he's a whole
you're
baby.
definitely still audible.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we were trying to take Aiden seriously, but we just could. I mean, E-Man seriously, but we just couldn't.
bro, he's in there making pew pew with like the controller acting like it's a gun. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Nah, but like my first rehearsal, I know my character and I know what they're doing in this play. But anyone else is kind of like, I'm gonna learn you later on. Or I'll learn in scene what your character is. But even for like, I guess the only way I could probably learn it from like learn everyone's character beforehand is if I'm the main role. Because then it's kind of like you're forced to because you are in most of the scenes. Or your reason for being in the play is in most of the scenes, so you need to know why you're in the play. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, what do you guys think?
Uh, I agree. Um, but I had another question though.
Go ahead.
So let's say let's say you audition for one role, and they say, well, we think this role would fit better for you instead of the role that you auditioned for.
Mm-hmm. That's happened to me.
How would you? What'd you say?
I said that's happened to me.
Yeah. So, um, so, um, how would you approach that? Like, how would you? Let's say you were very excited for this role, and you say, you know what, this is what I want, and they say, no, I want you to have this one. So, how would you take that?
Um,
Uh, well, I'll go first.
Wait,
And
hold
then
on.
also,
Before you go, are you talking about like character roles or being like, well, you auditioned for a character, like, but here's an ensemble role? Are you talking about character roles, Jesse?
Yeah, like
Okay.
yeah, like character roles.
yeah,
So like for
you
example, if I audition for like I don't know some dude named Jim, and like oh well actually Joseph is better for you, so we'll give you
Yeah,
this
like let's
character.
say that.
Okay,
Yeah,
instead of saying like you like for Pippin, I auditioned for Lewis and they gave me they didn't cast me
right,
originally. Okay, yeah, I
right.
know what you mean. Yeah.
All right, so here's okay. So I believe that's happened. Okay, so that happened for Oklahoma. When
Mm-hmm.
I went in, I auditioned for the male lead role, which is Curly, and I ended up getting no. Actually, I auditioned for the lead character Curly and another character, but he wasn't the lead. It was Ali Hakim, and I ended up getting casted as Judd Fry. So I actually went in
Mm-hmm.
auditioning for two different roles and didn't get either one of them. I ended up getting the one that I was trying to avoid actually because I didn't want to play Judd Fry, right? And the
Right.
second time that happened was for when I did Lee Street Theater, which was I mean not did Lee Street Theater. I worked with Lee Street Theater for a show called Running on Fire. I
Mm-hmm.
auditioned for the lead. I auditioned for the lead again in that show, and I got cast as or I got offered another role, right? One that I actually didn't.
Right.
That I don't even think I auditioned for the role that they cast me. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But Okay, so to answer your question, Jesse, I think it really depends on how how much do you actually like the the script, and whether if you do it depends on how interested you are in being a part of
Mm-hmm.
it. Because I know there are some people that they go to an audition and they only have one role in mind. If they don't get that role, then they just they just move on. They don't accept anything else. Like it's either this role or nothing, right? Um, for me, I have done that where I went in and auditioned, I didn't get it, and I was like, okay, well, just I'm not mad or anything. It's just that was the only thing that was the only role that I saw fit to even try to play. I didn't want anything else.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and you of course you do have the right to do that. You don't have to be a part of a show that
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be a part of.
I do have a question for you guys. Have any of y'all? I mean, all of y'all besides Tyler. 'Cause I know you did play a villain character. J May and Aiden, have y'all played a villain character ever? Doing a performance,
Um,
A villain character? I've never played villain. No. I
antagonist, or
want
anything
to
like
though.
that.
yeah, kind of. When we did the Three Musketeers, I was just Sock, the captain of the Cardinals Guard, so I wasn't really like
Yeah.
evil, but I was on that side. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, just antagonist, someone that's supposed to be opposing the hero
Yeah,
or the
yeah. I was
protagonist.
not a super important role, but yeah, I have, and I
Okay.
was mainly. I mean, like it. I would have portrayed my character either way, regardless of what side I was on.
So, question to the people that have played a bad guy or the antagonist: do you try to sympathize with your character whenever you
Absolutely.
are?
No, I just have fun with it.
Um.
I
Well, you
definitely
guys
don't.
know that I don't. I'm a very unsympathetic person in general. So
Well, yeah. So, but I was saying,
Not
so
the
like maybe
Christian
like
man.
whatever they're doing, like their motive might be like, I want to starve everyone on Earth, like that kind of thing, right? Do you try to sympathize and be like, hey, why are they trying to starve everybody on Earth? Maybe they have a good reason for it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, as actors, what we're taught, or maybe you guys weren't taught this, but I'll just speak from my experience. I was taught that you're not supposed to judge the character that you play. The audience is supposed to,
Right.
right? So whatever, and again, like let's be honest, how fun would acting be if you were going to, if every character you played, you essentially just played yourself? It wouldn't
It
be
would
fun.
be boring.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would be
right.
boring.
Right, nobody like that's the whole point of acting is to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right?
Right.
So that's what I try to do for every single character. So for a character like Judd Fry, who, as he may say, the antagonist, the villain, if I look at this guy, I look at I study the script, I look at who he is, and I'm like, obviously this guy is nothing like me. I don't think like him. I don't have an obsession for this one girl who's like in my mind, the girl of my dreams, and if I can't have her, no one. No, I've never, I've never had that outlook toward anybody in my life. But the thing is, you have to. I don't know if it's so much simple. What I mean, in a way, you do have to sympathize with the character. But here's the thing: if you don't put yourself in that mindset for the show, you're not gonna. It hinders you from giving the best performance possible. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I approach like a villain antagonist kind of character, I try to like see like what is the reason for this character acting the way they do.
Right.
Um,
And it's like I said earlier. I said because my character of Judd, like he has, from what I could gather up about him, this is a guy who has a lot of love to give. He's not a hateful person, right? He doesn't hate anybody. He's just
yeah,
been through a lot. He's been and he hasn't been treated well.
Yeah.
His
So it's
family
not.
was
So it's
kind
not
of
sympathizing. Then it's empathizing.
right, right, yeah, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I so when I look at into like the character and like why they're doing it, um, the first thing that I always wonder is like what they're doing is going to is it something that I can say, hey, this is something that makes sense as to like why they're doing it from the reason as how they got to this point. Like looking at like backstory, like if the character was like in an abusive home and grew up in foster cares and was tossed around a lot and stuff like that, and then now they want to build a death ray to whole destroy the world. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see how you got to that point, like
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
yes, you always have this terrible backstory because you
Yeah.
were at home because your life was just really bad. Like I can kind of see like, okay, you got that point because people were tearing you down and stuff,
Yeah.
and you just couldn't find that one like helping hand, and it doesn't justify what they're doing as the character, but it definitely makes it that you can kind of see why they're at this point to begin with, and it helps you like basically like make that character stronger in my opinion, because I
Oh,
I do like to take a villain character and make it very fun, because you are playing the bad guy and you don't really get to play the bad guy as much as you want in
okay.
society.
So let's do this. How
Okay.
about let's go around two questions. One's a two-part question. The first one will be, um, what is your least favorite and favorite role you've ever been in and why? And then, how did you prepare for your favorite role?
Okay.
So I'll go first. My least favorite role I've ever been in, okay, and this is aside from the show. Like I would have chosen Otto Frank just because I hated that show with like every single fiber in my body, but I liked the character. So it'll be like your least favorite character in terms of like the actual character. Um,
Okay.
my least favorite was probably when we did a show by freaking Don Zolitis. If you were anything about theater, you know who Don Zolitis is. He's pretty much like the TikTok creator of playwrights. That's pretty much what he is. Um, but so if we have we did a show, I can't remember, I think it's called Monster, and it was pretty much about these five people, and it's like based on a true story too, how they kind of all met up in some cabin in like France or something, and they were there, like they were trapped, and they were creating a bunch of stories, and this is where a bunch of the origin stories of things like Frankenstein and all that came from, was from like this little area. It's kind of like the basic origin. And so then the whole point of the story was you had the five main characters who were in color, like greens, reds, purples, blues, like whatever. And then the whole ensemble was grayscale. And we interacted on stage with them. And so it was kind of like they would be inhibiting certain characters and walking up, but we would walk in their space. But since we were grayscale, we were obviously like the imaginary characters in the book. And
Yeah.
I was this one deal. I think it was like Groff Hugo or whatever. And I had to pretty much rape a girl on stage, and it was not fun. Um, what? So the way we did it was we had this bed, and I was supposed to pick her up and like slam her on the bed,
Mm.
and then I would jump on top of her, and then there'd be a blackout. She would scream, and then I'd have to get off, sprint off stage, and then cut behind a wall flat. Um, very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was just, I don't know, it wasn't fun, and it was like I didn't want to do it. And it's like I hated that role. I hated the show. Like that wasn't good. My favorite role I've ever been in by far was that the Warfel, which was that giraffe character I was talking about earlier. It's
Mm-hmm.
really funny too because I hated it. The whole rehearsal process, thought it was so stupid, and I was like, I felt so uncomfortable, and like I just was not having it. And then I was like, all right, whatever. Night of performance comes around, and then my entrance was supposed to hop, and the curtains are closed, and so we had this one girl who was kind of like I guess a kind of a narrator. Like she was a character, but she was kind of like a narrator, kind of like the leading player in Pippin kind of thing. And my entrance was she was on stage to jump through the closed curtains and talk and like start. As soon as I jumped through the curtains, the entire audience died, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have fun with this because it's literally a full length show, 2 acts of literally me and my best friend getting to just screw around on stage and perform. It's like it was so much fun. Like there were so many ad libs and things we didn't even rehearse that we just did. Like we just had fun with it, and I wish I could do that again. So what I did, was really funny because my character prep was in the wings on the show. Because like I said, I hated the character, I didn't want anything to do with it, and I knew it was a class play, and I was like, whatever, it's not gonna matter. And it got to the point that they were hurt onto the night of the show, and I was like, dang, like the audience actually likes this character. So whenever I was off stage, I'd get up with Wesley, my buddy, and I'd be like, okay, how are we gonna do this scene? What are some ideas? Like, what are we gonna do? So we pretty much just developed our character stuff off stage and then like did it on. It's like everything, literally the whole synthesis of our character's relationship, how we were gonna run the scene, literally all happened in the wings on the night of the performance, like during the show.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was pretty fun.
Tyler, do you want to go? I think you were. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I was just. It's funny that that Aiden brought up the fact that in his favorite show that he actually had to rape somebody, or that there was a rape scene.
That was
Yeah, I
my
had to
least
do
favorite show. My least favorite show.
you know, your least favorite show. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I actually had to do that in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Why is why is every villain so rapey, man?
Well, no, it's not. Just okay. So it didn't actually. No, wait. Well, actually, it does happen. Sorry. Okay, so I said it was I said my character had an obsession with this one girl, right? It's what you would call an unhealthy obsession.
Yeah.
I don't think being obsessed with anything is can be considered healthy, but yeah, it's that type of thing. All right, so but yeah, we actually had to so we basically had to act out a scene where I had to not so much rape, but definitely like sexually assault her, right? Uh and yeah, it was I had to do this. Guys, my whole family saw this
Oh
show,
yeah, yeah, mine too. And then we had to travel
yeah.
to. I don't know if you guys know what NCTC is, but it's like competition theater. I had to do
Uh,
that on stage at Catawba College in front of like 16 other high schools.
Oh, that's
So
yeah.
they all knew me. Like, hey, you're that rape guy. Yeah, that was me. I was literally known as the rape guy
I was
for the
talking to
whole
my
thing.
I was talking to my stepdad. And he was talking about a podcast he had heard from Bomani Jones, the guy on ESPN, and he was
Mhm.
talking about being on NCIS SVU and how they only give you only two different roles. You can either be the lawyer or you can be the guy who did the raping in the show. He said, I do not want to be known as there's that guy who was the raper or the molester. Like no one wants to be known as that. And he's like, you know they gonna put my role as child molester. He said, nobody wants to be a child molester. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be known as that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where and also Oklahoma, I won't say was my it's not my favorite show, it's not my least favorite show. Now the favorite show, my favorite production that I've ever been a part of was it's a few good men. A few good men was my favorite. For two reasons. Number one, I actually got to meet the guy who the play is who the main character is based off of. Although his name wasn't actually Daniel Caffey. It's dang, you know I can't remember his last name. It's Daniel something, but it's not his last name is not Caffey. It's actually on my Facebook page, guys. I post a lot of photos from during the production on my Facebook page. I have to show you, but yeah, that's actually the Tom Cruise Jack Nicholson movie that was based on a true story.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I got cast in the Tom Cruise role as Daniel Caffey, and so I actually got to meet the guy, and he came to see the show. He told me that and this is a guy he's seen the show done on Broadway, right? He's seen it done on like at different other like multiple different companies, and he said, I'm just telling you what he told me. He said that our production was the best that he had seen, so that felt really really good, you know. So yeah, that was a pretty big thing.
Least favorite role. I think it would have to be. I don't want to say it. It would be really bad to say like my very first role was probably my least favorite one.
Well, we
My
don't
least
know what it
favorite one.
is,
I
so
know. I'm about to tell y'all what it is. I played Rabbit's nephew in the Winnie the Pooh story. In sixth grade. That was my very first performance. I believe sixth grade. That was my very first one. It was cool. I mean, it's my very first one. I'm very excited to be on stage. It gave me my love for theater to begin with, but it personally was my least favorite one just because I didn't do much. I literally came on, said a few lines, and ran off. So like, in the grand scheme of things, it, it was kind of my least favorite one because I didn't do much. My favorite one. I did a play my freshman or sophomore year of high school. It was a short 10 minute play. It was me and my friend. We did it was these two guys on a mountain. They were
Brokeback Mountain.
no, no, bro, no, shut up. No, it was these two guys that worked in a company. They went on a mountain like ski trip type thing. Not ski trip. I'm sorry, mountain like climbing
Resort.
trip, right? Mountain climbing trip with
Okay, yeah.
their company, and everyone else in the company died on the way to the top of the mountain, but they made it. So they were stuck on the
wait,
mountain
this
just
was a
talking.
play?
It was a play. It's like a 10 minute short play. I forgot what it was called. Basically, yeah, they were on the mountain, and everyone else in the play, not everyone else in the company had died on the way to the top of the mountain, but they had made it. So it was them at the top of the mountain talking about like, what are we gonna do? Like, we can eat their corpses. I was like, what? At the time, at the time, I was laughing so much because how like off the wall it was, and how like great our like me and my friend's chemistry was like on the scene. Like, basically, we were already great friends at that point. So doing that play, it was like we were flawlessly jumping off each other with each line, and it felt real. Like even though we weren't really there, it felt like we really were going that kind of situation, and how we would react in that situation because the characters were so much like us. And to this day, I that was like the most like favorite one I've ever done because just how flawless it went off, and um how fun it was to just like be like, yo, what are we gonna do? We're on top of a mountain, we're stuck. He's like, well, we can just go back down, but he's like, it'll take forever and it's too cold, we're gonna die. It's just that whole we work off each other very well, and that energy was shown very well through the play. I can say that was probably my favorite one today. Um, but yeah, my least favorite one was the playing my very first one, playing Rabbit's nephew, because I didn't do much. But theater. So what they say? There's no small role actors. That's what I think the line is. There's no small roles, only small actors. And I was very small at that time.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I get
All
that
right,
from.
David. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I got that from a play I did a while back. It was called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And that was like the main signature tagline they used. It was there's
I
no
remember
small.
you and Hope complaining about that in play analysis.
It was they done it 30 times. They're on like the 30th year, man. Stop doing that play. Get a new one. Do
Well,
something
guys.
different.
J
But
Man,
yeah,
want to round us out, bro?
Yeah. Okay. So it's my turn. Okay. So my least favorite show I would have to say was in the I think it was the sixth grade. We did it was a spring play that we did for my school, and that basically I had to play like Ray Charles, but I mean the whole thing was just unorganized too. The microphones, some people's microphones was working, mine wasn't working. I had to, I mean, it was all over the place. But I will say I brought it back to life a little bit, like kind of like Aidan did, like with, with improv and things like that. That was my least favorite show though, because um, I felt like I had to put a lot of it was on my shoulders at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
um, in my best show, I would have to say probably was the 12th grade when I played what was it? I played who did I? Oh yeah, I played Malcolm X. Um, that's what I played in the
Yeah.
12th, and that was my favorite because again, like I said, I mean just researching him and researching his life and things like that, and then I felt like, okay, well, how can I apply this to my life, and how can I, just basically the whole process. But yeah, that was my favorite. So yeah, that was me.
All right, yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Well, so guys, that was basically our this is our 10th episode, and we don't plan on stopping. We want to thank everybody for joining us. And yeah, we're gonna do what we can to get the word out.
Yeah,
We just recently passed 20 subscribers, and it's 2020 and counting. So but yeah, we plan on putting out more and more content. So everybody stay safe, everybody be blessed, and thank you for joining us.